Welcome back for another video. Congrats to all of you that are Arsenal fans. 22 long years. The depths of the banter era coming so close repeatedly, and we've finally done it. Hopefully see a few of you at the parade on the 31st. The other event that's coming up is this Sunday. I'll be at the Thirsty Bear bar in London for an FPL meetup. Obviously all the games are on at the same time, so it's going to be crazy. I highly recommend you go. Even if you don't know anyone in the FPL community, it'll be great. You'll make some new friends. From an FPL perspective, a poor Gameweek 37 and a poor end to the season, but I guess it's an easy pill to swallow, still riding the high of Arsenal winning the league. Currently 29k, so I mean a top 50k finish is a good season, all things considered, isn't it? That'll be my 7th, and it was always going to be hard to match the 3k finish of last year. Saka was the transfer in for Palmer, which worked out perfect. He ended up the top scorer and he was the captain. But Cherky bench, João Pedro not in the squad, not ideal. Plus Van Heck playing that really poor back pass in stoppage time without seeing DCL was there, who took it round for Bruggen, wiped the double clean sheet. Absolute pain. I mean, lots of points benched having started the double Brighton defence over double Leeds defence. Darlow and Beale both did great. And that was the first shot on target Leeds even had the whole game and ended up wiping the clean sheet. So Arsenal were champions as well, and that's probably going to only add to the carnage that is Gameweek 38, where they're definitely going to rotate a few players. We might even see the same from City, of course. There's very few Arsenal City players that are safe. Like, even the keepers could be at risk. I would strongly recommend making your transfers as near to the deadline as possible, as there's bound to be team news and leaks that drop early, which could dictate what you do. If you're able to be around near the deadline anyway, then I highly recommend waiting. I'll be live as always for the deadline stream, going live at 12:30 for 2 hours all the way till the deadline, and then I'll be heading into London for that meetup. Lastly, honourable mention to Mukiele, who has surpassed Lundstrom's 144 points record by a 4 mil defender. Obviously that's with DEFCON, so we can't really count it. Lord Lundstrom remains the king. If that was before your time, it was the 2019-20 season where they classified him by mistake as a defender and he played as a box-to-box mid, and Sheffield United kept loads of clean sheets for a newly promoted team and he got a bunch of goal involvements. It was a game breaker for a large part of the season. So, for the last time this season, let's take a look at your submissions for the best and worst scores. Thurg says champions. So his team wins the league last night. He had a huge game week with 81 points, and on top of that he also had the player that helped seal it for Arsenal last night with Krupi getting 8 points for him. TTC Watchout says I'm fine. 42 points all out and a huge red arrow with blanks from Verbruggen, Tarkowski, O'Reilly, Van Heck, Semenyo, Wilson, and really unlucky with captain Gyökeres. It's not a bad team at all, super unlucky that score. And Blake says, painful looking at my bench, 56 points all out, but had Asula's 13 pointer and Van Dijk's 14 pointer on the bench plus Hill for 28 points benched. And lastly, FPL River, who went for the Gameweek 37 bench boost and nailed it with 22 points bench boosted and a total score of 98 points, and says 98 on the bench boost and into the top 100k. Thanks all for the submissions, and for the last time this season, let's run through the team selection and transfer plans. A choice to make between Verbruggen and Darlow in goal. Got it wrong last game week, albeit a bit unlucky with Leeds registering their first shot on target in stoppage time. It was something like 0.3 XG conceded by Brighton. I'm going for Verbruggen again with a home fixture, but it's not a great one, playing Man United. Man United are the only team in the league that are gridlocked positionally. They can't move up or down, so... well, besides Arsenal and City, of course. Perhaps motivation levels will be lower and a lot of the squads will have one eye on the World Cup as well and not getting injured basically. For Brighton, it's one of the biggest games in their history. They could still finish in the Europa League, or it could be Conference League, or even no Europe at all. In defence, it's Hill, O'Reilly and Gabriel. It's one of the biggest games in Bournemouth's history as well. They're in a good spot where Europa League is minimum guaranteed. But if they were to batter Forest, they could end up in the Champions League still. So they might as well go for it, however unlikely it is. They trail Liverpool by 3 points, so Liverpool would need to lose to Brentford and Bournemouth to win. Not impossible, but there's no reason not to go for it from a Bournemouth perspective. O'Reilly potentially a big risk this week. It's a dead game for City now, they've got nothing to play for. And Pep might use it as an opportunity to rotate a few players. You know, for example, Aït-Nouri could come in at left back. That said, it is Pep's last ever game in charge of City. He's going to be desperate to finish his City career on a win, won't he? So O'Reilly does get the start in my team, and I'm just going to hope for the best. Even Gabriel, who's been completely nailed for Arsenal, could now be a risk. Again, there's nothing to play for in this one now, and one of Arsenal's most important matches ever comes a week later, the Champions League final. On the one hand, it's a healthy gap, so Arteta could go pretty strong, and he'll want them to take some confidence into the final, a bit of rhythm. But on the other hand, if he was to lose a key player to injury, it'd be devastating. Again, I'm going to start Gabriel and hope for the best here. I'm more confident in him than O'Reilly. The midfield is a minefield as well, so it's Bruno, Cherki, Saka and Tavernier. Cherki's a strange one. He was playing fantastic, lots of goal involvements, good underlying numbers, and then he gets hooked at 59 minutes against Brentford a few matches ago, and then he gets benched against Palace, he gets benched in the FA Cup final, and he gets benched again against Bournemouth. 3 benchings on the bounce in all competitions after that early sub as well. Only 1 free transfer, so he's just going to get the start and again hope for the best here. It feels like this game week will go one of 2 ways, as it often does in FPL. An absolute disaster game week and half the team are benched, or just somehow get totally lucky in the likes of Cherki start and they do well and it ends up being a good final game week. I'm 17 points inside top 50k, so it's pretty comfortable and it feels like the pressure is off anyway, so let's just enjoy the final game week. So Saka, I'm actually looking to sell now, unless João Pedro is straight up injured and not going to play, or if he's a major doubt, for example. I think there's a very good chance Madueke starts this one. It could even be Darwin off the bench when Arteta wants to make a sub there. There's really no point risking Saka if you're Arteta in this one, so he's likely going straight back out of the team. I'll bank the 10 pointer or 20 as captain and sell him. That does mean Tavernier reluctantly comes into the starting 11 as well in place of Trossard, who ended up a bad transfer. He came really close, Trossard, after hitting the post and a couple of great moments, but yeah, no returns. Tavernier's been an absolutely terrible transfer from an FPL point of view, but I mean, beggars can't be choosers in a week like this. And as I say, Bournemouth have a chance of Champions League if they do put a few past Forest and Liverpool lose, so I'd like to think they just go for it, because either way they're guaranteed Europa League, so theoretically there is nothing to lose by just absolutely going for it. And up front it's Thiago, Haaland and João Pedro. The original plan I'd set up was a straightforward Thiago to Bowen switch, and I'd left enough money in the bank for that, but it's probably not happening now. I mean, Bowen does look fantastic for Gameweek 38 though. I'm going to keep an eye out for any City leaks, just in case Pep doesn't start Haaland. Otherwise I'd sell him, but I expect he probably does start him, so he's going to be my captain as well. There's one player I'm actually thinking of bringing in and captaining him, more on that in a sec. So João Pedro wasn't even named in Chelsea's squad against Spurs, and that was a huge game. McFarlane said the following: João Pedro had a slight knock, nothing that we're massively concerned about, it wasn't worth risking him. Then he said Sunderland, it's definitely a wait and see, we're hopeful. He was photographed training as well after the final, before the Spurs game, so it seems like he's got a decent chance if he was able to train, but let's see. So the bench is Darlow, Van Heck, Beal and Trossard. Worst case scenario, I guess Van Heck and Beal aren't terrible auto subs, or if I've got multiple players that are out and I've got to start one. Both have been good for DEFCONs, there's that chance of a goal involvement. One free transfer though, and there's so many options. Van Heck to Pedro Porro looks really strong. Thiago to Bowen I like a lot. There's Tavernier to Anthony, that's got potential. But yeah, I'm just not sure on Saka's minutes now. I think there's a big chance he doesn't start this one, so I've got to sell him. And the current plan is Saka to Palmer and just double stack on Chelsea attack and really just hope to get lucky with a goal fest in that game. After beating Spurs, Chelsea have put themselves in a position to secure Europa League potentially if they get a win over Sunderland. If they win and Brighton were to draw or lose against Man United, or they could even just draw if Brighton lose to Man United, so it is still possible. McFarlane said they didn't want to risk Colwell and James just after the final, so perhaps with that extra rest and recovery they both come back into the starting 11 and Chelsea go full strength against Sunderland and beat them comfortably. I know Palmer's not been his usual self as of late and it's not been a great season for him, so it's a bit of a long shot. He has still hauled a few times this season. The thing is, there really is just a lack of appealing alternatives as well. I can't get to Salah. It's basically like Szoboszlai, maybe Anthony, maybe Palmer. I have to use the transfer on the one that's the benching risk, so it just narrows it down to selling Saka. Of course, if someone is completely out, then they're going to have to be the priority, and maybe I'd even have to just bench Saka. So that's the plan. The plan could go completely out the window, as I say, if there's a leak that one of my players don't start, or if João Pedro is out again, for example, then I'll have to sell him for Bowen. Either way, I'll make the final transfer of the season during the deadline stream, that's for certain. Part of me is even tempted to captain Palmer, especially if I've got any doubts on Haaland's minutes, or if there's a leak he doesn't start. Then it's like, where do I turn in my team? Is it Bruno? Would it be Palmer? Is it someone else? I think those would be the best 2 players, and it'd be super tempting to just go for Palmer because, if I end up 40k, so be it, or if I end up 20k with a good week, then that's fine. I don't really mind whereabouts I finish at this point in the season. So, yeah, anyway, rambling now. I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching these team selection videos over the season and following my story throughout the season. Hope you've enjoyed the content. Wishing you the best of luck with your teams in the final game week. See you soon for the next one.